So yes, we all live a largely digital life nowadays more than ever. And one of the side effects of this digital lifestyle is that you have a digital footprint, which enables the FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google to get stuck into you. They collect your data and they use it to manipulate you into buying things you normally wouldn't buy. For example, without Facebook, I certainly would never have needed an indoor canoe with retractable wheels and matching pajamas. But it's not just the fangsters who are benefiting from your digital footprint. The developers of every app you open and every website you visit gather your data. On websites, you've seen those cookie notifications. How many of you just go ahead and click the accept all button? How many of you take the time to click more options and then actually decline the cookies? I'd be willing to bet almost none of you decline cookies on websites all the time. I mean, hey, we're the now generation. We don't have time to make 3 more mouse clicks on every site we visit. Well, each time you hit accept, you give more detail to your digital footprint. You freely give your personal information to multiple marketing companies to improve their profile of you so they can target you. But it's not just social media sites, retailers, and news sites who are benefiting from your heavy-footedness on the digital beach. The hackers too are out there, and they have their buckets and spades with them. And whatever John Lewis can see, so can John Hacker. So through a series of simple tools, every person with the most basic of computers has access to what the data that hackers can search on throughout the entire internet and put together a profile of you, which they can use. And it's not to sell you the latest wall climbing scuba gear. Probably the less we say about that, the better. No, it's the data you've left openly lying around that can be used to manipulate and scam you. However, I'm not here to tell you that you're too late. And I'm definitely not here to tell you that because of your digital carelessness, you are doomed to a life of being targeted by scammers. And sure enough, I'm not here to tell you how stupid you are for not acting sooner. No, I'm here to increase your knowledge of cybersecurity. I've just given you a brief overview of what you are leaving lying around for anyone to see. I'm now going to give you a brief history of some viruses and scams, along with a few basic practices which will make your digital footprint less enticing to the scammers and criminal hackers of this world. So very, very potted history of viruses, scams, and the ways criminal hackers use our data against us. First up on our brief tour is the love bug. This cheeky chappie was released to the world on May the 4th, 2000. A person by the name of Onel de Guzman got tired of paying for his internet service. So he did what everyone would do. He wrote a virus. He wrapped it up carefully in an email attachment and sent it off with a subject line, love letter for you, and a brief message inside telling the recipient to open the attached love letter. Now, anyone who followed the instructions not only got a curious love letter from their aunt who they hadn't seen since the last family wedding, they also unknowingly sent off their passwords on their machine to Onel de Guzman and emailed everyone in their address book a love letter for you. Believe it or not, when Onel de Guzman was found to be the mastermind of the worst virus to date at that time, he couldn't be arrested. The Philippines didn't even have a Computer Misuse Act. So he's still now a free person repairing mobile phones at the back of a mall in Manila, in the Philippines. Our next stop on this worldwide tour is a scam I'm sure you've heard of. It is called the Nigerian Prince scam. It's also called the 419 scam, which is after the Nigerian law dealing with obtaining property by false promises. In truth, this type of scam can be traced back to the 17th century. So let's see if you know this one. I, the scammer, email you some sad news. Your dear cousin, who you never realized you had, has died. But there is some good news. This cousin was a member of the Nigerian royal family, and what's more, they were filthy rich. And I have been given specific instructions to send you, yes, you, an obscene amount of money. If only I could wrestle that money from the authorities. But I can't. I'm just a poor lawyer. Hey, I've got an idea. Perhaps you could help. If you send me a few $100s, this will unlock the money in no time. So you send me the money while planning what you'll do with all the obscene amount of money that you are going to get, and I take the money and disappear, never to be seen again, and much more in pocket than you. So most of you will have received an email like this in the past with some story similar to the one I've just gone through. Nowadays, spam filters get rid of most of these emails, so you're unlikely to see them. However, they do continue to make money. A CNBC article from 2019 estimated that in the US, $700,000 is lost every year to this scam. Now, we continue on to our next scam, which involves a phone and a computer. I call this one the Microsoft Office tech support scam, because it's actually how someone introduced themselves to my mother-in-law when they tried to scam them. Fortunately, my mother-in-law passed the phone over to me and it never went further. But here it goes. Your phone rings and you pick it up. A very kind sounding person is calling you from Microsoft Office tech support. It's just a courtesy call, but they have detected some sort of anomaly on your machine, which suggests you have viruses on it. So they ask you to start a piece of software on your machine called Prefetch. And when it loads up, you see all these noughts, these red crosses and yellow triangles, and you are asked to count them. Yes, they actually ask you to count the crosses because it turns out it's very bad. You are infected with hundreds of viruses. Each X is a virus. And these viruses will target your documents and all of those lovely, wonderful family photos you have on there. But it's okay. There's a piece of software that we have, and it only costs $299. And if you follow my colleague, Mr. Microsoft Office's instructions, you will soon be running unhindered by those pesky viruses. So you agree to install some software from Mr. Microsoft Office onto your machine. And then, hey presto, he has access to your machine and can see everything that you have there. And now we would just like to install your software. But first, I'd like you to pay that $299. So what you do is you go to your bank account, your online banking, and you put in your login and your password, and you begin the transaction. Unfortunately, what you've just done is get into your bank while someone is watching every key press on your computer. And quick as a flash, the scammer logs into your bank as you, transfers out as much money from your account as they can without you noticing. They may then complete the install of whatever software they pointed you to and finish the call. And you sit there thinking how lucky you are that you've dodged the bullet this time and get back to cataloging all the photos from wee Johnny's christening. And before you've even put the kettle on, the scammer has taken the money and transferred it to 5 different international banks to make the money all but untraceable. I particularly hate this scam as it is very successful with the elderly and vulnerable people, and people have lost their life savings because of it. So yeah, not great. We're almost at the end of our short tour. I just want to go over one more with you, which is an interesting one as well, I find. It's a scam called ransomware. And the specific wee beastie I want to tell you about is called WannaCry. So you may have heard of this one. It's happened about 4 years ago. 4 years ago? May 2017. Yes, 4 years ago. We're 2021. Computers around the world began to encrypt themselves. Now, these machines were running old versions of Windows XP. Now, I said 2017. So these were not only running Windows XP, which is an old version of Windows, but an old version of Windows XP itself. And this piece of ransomware encrypted the hard drives of these machines and presented a screen to the user informing them that their data has been encrypted, and if they don't deliver $600 of Bitcoin within, I think it was 1 week, their data would be lost forever. Now, Because of this worm, the NHS was nearly shut down completely for a period of time. And around the world, 200,000 machines were permanently damaged by WannaCry before its spread was halted. In the US alone, it's estimated the cost of this worm was over $6.4 billion. It's a pretty hefty amount for just a small piece of software. Fortunately, a software technician found a kill switch and stopped the virus in its tracks and prevented much more damage happening. So there you go, a very, very short tour of viruses and scams, which have blighted the digital world over the past 20 years or so. But these are only a few. Every day, a new threat. There's a new threat to our digital existence. The items you hear of in the news are the ones which were big enough, bold enough, or happened to affect enough people to make the news. But there are small ones out there. And don't worry though, there are a few steps you can take which will reduce your exposures to the scammers and criminal hackers. So the first way to reduce your exposure and keep yourself safe is to look at your passwords. First and foremost, make sure your banking and email passwords are different from your social media accounts. And secondly, try and make your passwords as unique and complex as possible. Use special characters such as the exclamation mark, @signs, along with numbers and capital letters. And consider using a password manager. Now, the free ones out there, they're fairly easy to install. However, if you don't feel confident in using one, at least then, and this is a bit controversial to some people, write your password down in a notebook and keep it safe in the back of a drawer. Then at least you are able to write a complex password, which then you can input anytime you need to. The reason some people say, oh yeah, I just reuse my passwords, is because, I can't keep all those passwords in my head. I mean, I counted up on my password vault before coming here today. I think I've got 600 passwords that I have in there. So that's a lot of passwords. But if you write them down, you keep them in a book in the back of your drawer and just leave them there until you need them, then they're safe. They're pretty safe unless somebody walks off with your desk. Next, take a look at your social media usage. If someone sends you a direct message out of the blue, first check their profile before replying. Quite often you can tell that it's either not a real person or they're trying to scam you or sell you something. And absolutely do not click on any link that you sent to you that you did not ask for. Keep in mind as well that all quizzes, links, adverts, and news articles are trying to do one of two things. They're trying to get data from you or to sway your thinking on something. So steer clear, for example, of those quizzes that go around, such as find out which Coronation Street pet you look like, or mother's maiden names you have known, or if I could buy a pet now, what would it be and what would its name be? Because those are all getting data from you. And quite often, the people who send out those quizzes are trying to build their profile on you with the hope of stealing your data or logging into your email, your banks, etc. And another vector that these scammers use to attack you is your email and your phone. So a few things to remember. One, you didn't suddenly win a load of money on a lottery you did not remember entering. PayPal is not suspending your account. That text about a voice message waiting for you from someone you've never heard of isn't actually a voice message, it's a scam. And it's very likely that you aren't related to the Nigerian royal family. And especially no one has ever filmed you doing things in front of your webcam while you are on an adult site that you've never ever visited. So when on the phone, any robot voiced calls you receive, they're a scam. Any call you receive out of the blue that asks you for personal details, especially banking details, again, a scam. You can see a pattern building up here. Anything that seems to be pressing you to do something now, or you will lose money, or have your data exposed, or something along those lines, take a step back from your desk. Go and make a cup of tea. Think about it. What are they being asked for? What are you being asked for? Quite often that pressure is what leads you to being caught out. So just the simple act of making a cup of tea will stop you from being scammed most of the time, because your brain will think about it and go, actually, this does seem too good to be true. I really didn't win that lot of that money in the lottery. And so I'll leave you with these final thoughts. Don't lose sleep over it. Your details are out there already and being gathered. Just be proactive about protecting what you put into the ether from now on, and your digital footprint will be less enticing to those pesky criminals. Thank you.